The ancient and esoteric Order of the Jackalope is a secret society devoted to a simple idea. That which is least known is best to know. Each episode, one of our initiates finds some strange story or amazing fact to share with you. No topic is off limits, except for the obvious. Greetings, initiates! I've got something special lined up for you today because this is our 100th episode. Okay, technically this is our 117th episode if you include the teaser episode and the errata and the bonus episodes, but I'm the one doing the counting and I say this is number 100. To celebrate, I'm pulling out a story that's been buried deep in the podcast bunker's vault. Now, it's not a secret, but each series I research more stories than make it into production. It's primarily a matter of hedging my bets in case something unexpected happens. Maybe a story seems promising, but I can't find multiple good sources. Maybe I'll realize the topic isn't all that interesting after all. Maybe I'll be all ready to record when a much larger podcast drops an episode on the exact same topic. In those cases, it's always good to have an extra story in the can. This is one of those extra stories. In fact, it's the very first of those extra stories, something I sat down and researched for our very first season just in case I needed it. Turns out I didn't, which is good because it was a bit on the silly side and didn't quite fit the tone I was going for back then. I've half-jokingly threatened to release it a few times over the years, and now I'm pulling the trigger on that threat. So have yourself a celebratory little drink and get ready for a wild ride. Number 100. Nothing But a Number. Presented by Number 13. On November 2nd, 1977, Maria del Rosario Mercedes Pilar Martinez Molina Baeza walked into a courtroom in Las Vegas, Nevada. A short time later, she walked out, only now she was an American citizen. So what, you say? Happens all the time. Well, what if I told you Maria del Rosario Mercedes Pilar Martinez Molina Baeza also walked out of that courtroom 10 years younger? Or that you might know her better by her stage name, Charo. I left a pregnant pause there for that fact to sink in, and during it I realized that if you were under the age of 50, you probably don't know who Charo is. That makes me feel old, but I guess that's just how pop culture rolls. One minute you're so ubiquitous that you need no explanation, the next minute you're so obscure you require half a dozen footnotes to explain. So let me explain. Charo was born March 13th, 19-something or other, in Murcia, Spain. Even as a child, she showed great musical talent. Supposedly, she was drawn to an old gypsy farmhand who used to play flamenco on his guitar at moonrise, who gave Charo her first guitar and her first music lessons. It's a romantic story, but also so convenient and cliché-ridden that I very much doubt it ever happened. In any case, when Charo was 9, she auditioned for famed guitar player Andres Segovia's Music Academy in Madrid. She was admitted and moved to the city along with her mother and sister, who was studying design. At age 16, she graduated from the academy. In 1964, Charo was playing in a small club when she was discovered by Xavier Cugat, who made her the front woman for his big band. In 1966, Cugat and Charo got married. The contemporary entertainment press made a big deal about their huge age difference, but also presented the couple as genuine lovebirds, with Charo cooing over her darling Coogie and claiming that the only reason they had put off their nuptials for so long was that they were waiting for the approval of either the Catholic Church or Cugat's ex-wife Abby Lane. After their honeymoon, they went on a whirlwind tour of the United States. Their act was a hit. The Latin sound was having a bit of a moment, Cugat had the chops and the history, and Charo was a pretty good singer. Americans also loved her larger-than-life stage persona, which combined dumb foreigner and dumb blonde stereotypes into the character of the Coochie Coochie Girl, a genial, sexy idiot who bounced up and down a lot and wiggled her torso around. It didn't hurt that she wore low-cut tops with a lot of spangles and fringe to accentuate the effect. Charo quickly became a fixture of American talk shows and variety shows. She was on Late Night with Johnny Carson, the Tony Orlando and Dawn Show, the Captain and Tennille Show, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. Eventually, she even branched out into actual acting, appearing on The Jeffersons, Fantasy Island, Chico and the Man, and also taking a cruise on the Pacific Princess of the Love Boat an astounding 11 times. While all that was going on, she ditched Cugat, headlined the Vegas Strip, and switched her sound from Latin to disco. She had a few small hits like Dance a Little Bit Closer and the noxious Yuletide earworm, Mamacita, Donde Está Santa Claus? In 1977, Charo became an American citizen. During the naturalization process, you are given a chance to address any issues with your documentation. It's all perfectly normal, most of the time. In Charo's case, she said her Spanish birth certificate and passport listed the wrong birthday. They said it was March 13th, 1941. She maintained it was March 13th, 1951. That's a difference of 10 years. The only explanation she gave for the discrepancy was the government back in Murcia kept exceptionally poor records. Well, okay, to be fair, she also provided affidavits from her parents, but it is the official opinion of this podcast that affidavits aren't worth the paper they're printed on. Now, Charo's age had been shifting for some time. Entertainers love knocking a few years off to flatter themselves, and the tabloid press loves to uncritically publish every factoid they're given. At the time of her 1966 debut, she was reportedly 20, which would be consistent with a 1946 birth date. Over the next decade, that birth date kept creeping forward, first to 1947, then to 1949, before finally settling on 1951 for good. Now, this creates some serious problems with Charo's biography. Most notably, she has always maintained that she graduated at 16 and had never performed professionally before then. However, if she was born in 1951, she only turned 16 in 1967, 3 years after being discovered playing in a club by Xavier Cugat. She has never addressed this discrepancy. It also makes that marriage a lot ickier. Even at the time, many people were grossed out by the 46-year age difference between Cugat and Charo. I can't imagine they'd be more grossed out by a 56-year age difference, but they would be grossed out by an underage bride. Charo's only defense is that the marriage was a sham, purely a business arrangement, and the easiest way for Cugat to get her a visa that would allow her to tour the United States. That I believe. It certainly fits with Cugat's MO. He married several singers as a way of exercising control over their lives and careers. Of course, Charo also says that her parents lied about her age on official documents to make her seem older so they could procure a marriage certificate. How this jibes with the previous excuse of poor record-keeping in Murcia has also never been addressed. Others have noted that she certainly didn't look 15 at the time of her debut and point to contemporary photographs as proof. If you remember the whole Doug Hutchison-Courtney Stodden thing from a few years back, though, you know that the right makeup and styling can make someone young look way older than they actually are. Now, here's where I derail everything. I don't think it matters how old Charo is. When I first stumbled across this story, I sure did. I went into my research with a sort of righteous indignation that Charo thought she could put one over on the American public. The more I found out, though, the less I really cared. The entertainment industry lies about everything all the time, and as far as those lies go, Charo's age is pretty inconsequential. It's not something she makes a big deal of, and it's not like she's using the controversy to sell some age-defying face cream or diet and exercise program guaranteed to make you look 10 years younger. Who cares? But let's just say for the sake of argument that Charo really did lop a decade off her age. Who, I ask, did she hurt? Uncle Sam didn't care. The general public really didn't care. The entertainment press really didn't care. While I'm sure there were Hollywood types who did care because they couldn't get a chub from a 40-year-old woman, Charo's career was already on the downslope before her age change. Seriously, one attempt to quantify her Q rating discovered that the more audiences saw and recognized her, the less they liked her. If you're talented and careful, like Jude Law, you can recover from overexposure like that. If you're not, like Shia LaBeouf, tread carefully. If Charo hurt anyone by lying about her age, it was Charo, by pushing back the date she could collect Social Security and enroll in Medicare. And frankly, she was making enough money that shouldn't have been a huge deal. If I had to be pinned down on Charo's actual birth date, I'd probably go with 1947. A handwritten 1 and a handwritten 7 are easy to mix up. It also has the benefit of making everything in her chronology work out just about right, even if it does make everything really, really tight. In the end, though, it doesn't really matter what you or I think. The only person whose opinion mattered in this case was U.S. District Court Judge Roger Foley, and he was convinced. On November 2nd, 1977, he made Charo's new birthday official. As for Charo, whether she's 73 or 83, she's certainly had a remarkable life. Her late 70s heyday is almost 50 years ago now, but she's worked steadily since then. She's still acting, with guest spots on That 70s Show, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, Jane the Virgin, and Sharknado, Global Swarming. She's made multiple appearances on RuPaul's Drag Race, and was even a contestant on Dancing with the Stars, though her performance there is probably the best argument I've ever seen that she's actually 83. She's sporadically released new album and continues to tour. So hats off to Charo. Whatever age she is, we would all be so lucky to look so good when we reach it. Though hopefully we'd have found a better plastic surgeon than she did. Hey, I said I didn't care what age she was. I didn't say I wasn't going to be catty about it. Key sources for this episode include Wikipedia and contemporary newspaper reports. I'd like to close out the episode by thanking everyone who's helped the ancient and esoteric order of the Jackalope reach this milestone. That includes people who have helped promote the show, like Zane C. Weber, the fearful Jesuit of Paranoid Strain, Kieran Davy of the Penny Peep Show, Richard Poidevin of the Curiosity of a Child, and everyone else at That's Not Canon Productions. People who've been gracious enough to share their voices, like AJ Sutton, Greg Armstrong, Jim Munizza, Kristen Harkness, Liz Roberts, Robert Sibole, Stephen White, Tom Hann, and the inimitable Eric Leslie. People who have served as technical consultants for the show, like number 8 Sam Link. People who have been bold enough or insane enough to be interviewed on the show, like number 23 David White, number 17 Rob Brunskill, number 6 Charlotte, number 1893 Michael Finney, number 16 Rod Miller, number 2 Robert B. White III, and number 18 David Blomenberg. People who have given us nearly complete story ideas, like number 12 Jenn Voss and number 28 Chris White. People who have been gracious enough to contribute their own episodes, especially number 7 Dorothy White and number 42 Alex Baumans. And of course, you fellow initiates, everyone who has listened to the show or downloaded it or recommended it to a friend or shared it on social media. Without you, I would just be shouting into the void. Well, more than I do normally. So what's next for the ancient and esoteric order of the Jackalope? Well, I've been churning out episodes ceaselessly for 18 months now, and I need a vacation. Like an actual honest-to-God vacation where I can sleep in on the weekends and I don't have to research anything, but can actually read books for pleasure and maybe finally get around to finishing Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm officially bringing an end to Series 13 here and taking a break. It won't be long, just enough to recharge my batteries, really. In 3 weeks, there'll be an errata episode, and then nothing until mid-August. That is a promise, by the way. We will come back from this hiatus. I have the script for episode number 101 almost ready to record. But right now, though, I'm going to go out on the porch and take a nap. I'll see you in a few weeks, and until then, remember, that which is least known is best to know. Toodles. This episode was produced by David White for the Ancient and Esoteric Order of the Jackalope, and That's Not Canon Productions. A transcript, list of sources, links, and more can be found on our website, orderofthejackalope.com. That's orderofthejackalope.com with hyphens between the words. Our show is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. All rights reserved, all wrongs reversed. Our theme song is Drama D by Scott Roosh. Do you have thoughts about this episode? Why not share them on our Discord server? There's a link in the show notes. Or reach out to us on social media. We can be found at Order Jackalope on most platforms. Or just send us an old-fashioned email at jackalope@orderofthejackalope.com. We want you to join our secret society. All you have to do is share your strange story or amazing fact with the world. Visit our website and click Join Us for more information. Until next time, quidquid minime sciat, optime scire.
A That's Not Canon Productions podcast.